Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a classic today, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
It's a book that still has so much to say, even though it was written almost 100 years ago, back in 1932.
It really makes you think, how did Huxley see so much of what our world is becoming?
I think he was tapping into some pretty fundamental human desires, the desire for comfort, for security, for control, but then also the cost of those desires.
Yeah, because this Brave New World isn't exactly a paradise, even though it pretends to be.
Not even close. It's a world where technology is used to manipulate people, to engineer their emotions, even their very identities.
It's kind of freaky how he describes this whole system of population control.
Oh, yeah. The Bokanovsky process, like a factory for human beings.
Thousands of identical embryos, all grown in these artificial wombs and then sorted into different social classes, alphas, betas, gammas, and so on.
It's like they've taken all the messiness out of human reproduction, turned it into a science.
But also, they've removed choice, right? Like, you're born into your role and that's it.
There's no climbing the social ladder, no questioning your place, and they make sure of that from the moment you're decanted.
Through this process called hypnopedia, sleep teaching.
Basically, propaganda drilled into your subconscious while you're sleeping.
So creepy. They repeat these phrases over and over like, ending is better than mending, or a gram is better than a dam.
It's all about shaping your values, your desires, even your fears. They even condition people to hate nature.
Yeah, like the deltas who are programmed to be terrified of flowers and books.
It's wild. They use electric shocks and loud noises to create these negative associations.
Makes you think about how we're all conditioned in certain ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not as overt as in the book.
Definitely. Think about advertising, social media, all the messages we're bombarded with every day.
It's subtle, but it definitely influences our choices, our beliefs, even our identities.
And then, of course, there's Soma.
Yes. The wonder drug that solves all your problems.
Well, not solves exactly. More like masks them.
It's like a supercharged antidepressant, a way to escape any kind of discomfort or negative emotion.
Anxiety, Soma, sadness, Soma. Feeling a little bit too introspective, Soma.
And everyone's encouraged to take it, right? It's like the social norm.
Absolutely. It's the glue that holds this whole society together. Everyone's happy, compliant, and completely out of touch with their true selves.
Which brings us to our main characters, Bernard Marx and Lenny Crown.
No, they're both alphas, so they're at the top of the social hierarchy.
But even in this perfect world, they're not quite fitting in.
Bernard is kind of an outcast. He's not as physically imposing as the other alphas, and he's got this nagging sense that there's something missing in his life.
He's actually yearning for genuine connection, for deeper meaning. Something more than just casual sex and soma-induced bliss.
Which is a problem in a society where those are the main forms of social interaction.
Exactly. And then we have Linnea, who's kind of the opposite. She's beautiful, popular, and totally buys into the world state's values.
She's the poster child for this whole everyone belongs to everyone else mentality.
She's got this breezy, carefree attitude, but there's also a kind of shallowness to her.
It's like she's never experienced genuine emotion, never had to confront the darker aspects of life.
And then everything changes when they meet John, the Savage.
The outsider who challenges their entire worldview.
He comes from the Savage Reservation, a place where people still live in what we might call the real world.
A world with family, with religion, with pain and loss, all the things the world state has tried to eradicate.
And John represents everything they've tried to suppress. He's passionate, he's idealistic, he's deeply connected to his emotions.
He's like a walking, talking embodiment of everything this brave new world is trying to avoid.
And his arrival throws everything into chaos.
Buckle up. Things are about to get interesting.
It's like dropping a bomb into this perfectly orchestrated society.
Right. John's this walking, talking embodiment of everything they've tried to eliminate: passion, idealism, real human connection.
He doesn't shy away from expressing his disgust either.
Not at all. Remember when he's taken to one of those feely shows? I mean, talk about sensory overload.
Oh, man. It's like those virtual reality things we have now, but cranked up to 11. You can practically feel everything the actors are feeling.
It's supposed to be the ultimate entertainment experience, but John's just horrified by it.
He sees it as this shallow, empty substitute for real life. Like, where's the depth? Where's the meaning?
And it's not just the technology itself, it's what it represents, this whole idea that you can engineer happiness, that you can just bypass all the messy, complicated stuff of being human.
And his relationship with Lenina really highlights that clash of values, doesn't it?
Absolutely. She's completely baffled by him. Here she is, this beautiful, desirable woman throwing herself at him, and he's like, "Get me behind me, Satan."
Well, he doesn't actually say that, but you get the idea.
He's wrestling with these intense feelings, these longings that he can't even articulate, and it's terrifying to him because it goes against everything he's been taught to believe.
And she's just like, what's the big deal? Let's just have some fun and pop a few soma.
It's a recipe for disaster, really.
And then there's the whole issue of death. The way they handle it in the world state is so disturbing.
It's like they've turned it into this sanitized, almost cheerful event.
Yeah. They condition kids from a young age to see death as just a natural part of the life cycle. No grief, no mourning, just acceptance.
You remember those field trips to the death hospitals?
Yeah.
Where they give the kids chocolate eclairs and let them watch people die?
It's so creepy. Like, they're trying to eliminate any sense of fear or sadness associated with death.
Which, from their perspective, makes sense, right? If you want to create a perfectly stable society, you can't have people getting all emotional about dying.
But John, having grown up in the savage reservation where death is a very real and painful experience, he just can't comprehend this detached, emotionless approach.
It's like he's seeing the humanity being drained out of them, and he's desperate to wake them up.
Which is why he throws the soma out the window during that hospital visit, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to shake them out of their complacency.
Oh, yeah, that was a bold move. But, it kind of backfires, doesn't it?
Big time. It just reinforces their dependence on the drug. They're like, hey, give us back our happy pills.
It's a really powerful scene, though, because it shows how deeply ingrained their conditioning is. They can't even imagine a life without soma.
And that leads to that incredible confrontation between John and Mustafa Mond, the world controller.
The ultimate battle of ideologies.
Mond represents the world state's philosophy, this idea that stability and happiness are the ultimate goals, even if it means sacrificing freedom and individuality.
He's a fascinating character, though, because he's not some evil dictator.
Yeah.
He genuinely believes that he's doing what's best for humanity.
He even admits that he made a conscious choice to prioritize control over truth.
Remember that line about choosing happiness over high art? Like, they've deliberately suppressed knowledge and creativity because they see it as potentially disruptive.
Which is a terrifying thought, right? That someone could be so intelligent, so aware of the cost, and still choose this path.
It makes you wonder, are we making similar choices in our own world?
So John's stuck in this world that feels completely alien to him.
He's seen the cracks in their facade, experienced real love and loss.
He's got this deep yearning for something more, something authentic.
And he tries to find it, He retreats to this abandoned lighthouse, tries to live a simple life away from the world state.
He's gardening, meditating, even punishing himself for his desires.
It's extreme, but it shows how desperate he is to escape their influence, to find some kind of purity.
He's literally trying to whip himself into a state of grace.
He's rejecting their whole philosophy of comfort and pleasure at all costs.
But of course, the world state can't just let him be.
Nope. They turn him into this media sensation.
Reporters swarm his lighthouse, broadcasting his every move to the masses.
It's like they can't resist exploiting his struggle, turning it into entertainment.
They don't understand his need for solitude, his rejection of their values.
And the people, conditioned to crave novelty and distraction, they eat it up.
Which ultimately leads to his downfall.
Right. These crowds of people descend on his sanctuary, demanding to see him, to participate in his rituals.
It becomes this chaotic frenzy, this grotesque spectacle.
And Lenina, caught up in the mob mentality, she tries to reach out to him, to connect with him in the only way she knows how.
But he rejects her, calls her a whore. It's this heartbreaking moment.
He's lost everything, his mother, his home, his sense of purpose.
And in the end, he takes his own life.
It's a tragic end, but it also feels like a final act of defiance.
He chooses death over assimilation, over becoming just another cog in their machine.
It's a powerful statement about the importance of individuality, the human need for freedom and authenticity.
So what do we take away from all of this? What's the message for us living in our own increasingly complex world?
Well, it's a warning, for one thing. A reminder that progress isn't always a good thing.
That technology can be used to control us, to manipulate us, to numb us to what really matters.
It's a call to be more mindful, more critical of the messages we're constantly bombarded with.
To question the things that promise us happiness without asking for much in return.
To remember that real fulfillment comes from embracing the full spectrum of human experience with all its messy, complicated beauty.
So yeah, Brave New World is a tough read, but it's also a deeply important one.
It challenges us to think about the kind of future we want to create, the kind of world we want to live in.
And to fight for those values, even when they're unpopular, even when they're difficult.
Because in the end, it's not about comfort or convenience. It's about living a life that's truly meaningful.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Until next time.